Student sex workers and the rise of sugar babies. So what is a sugar baby, a sugar daddy, a sugar mommy? There's this thing called sugar relationships, and it is described by The Independent as somewhere between a business relationship and dating. The practice involves young, attractive, predominantly female sugar babies, many of them students, exchanging their companionship for financial support from older, wealthy, predominantly male sugar daddies or mommies. Now, there's same-sex relationships, there's heterosexual relationships, but the large majority of these relationships are older men with younger women, and those women are students. 40% of the 5 million members are students. You can have these relationships on seekingarrangement.com, and on seekingarrangement.com, what they say is it's first they do a background check, okay? They do a background check on the babies, on the daddies, on the mommies, and then it's so weird to say that.
Yep.
So weird to say that. And then they also, they wanted to make it very clear in this article, what Seeking Arrangement told The Independent, is that they do not advertise sex. That most of the time, this is at least what they say, they do not advocate or advertise sex. That would be prostitution. But according to the sugar babies interviewed, sex most often does happen, and it is part of the arrangement. Also, according to the interviews here in The Independent, some of the sugar babies, there's pretty equal numbers, felt empowered by the relationship and felt glad that they were able to pay their tuition, because that's why the rise of these student sex workers, why it has been on the rise, is because of the rising tuition costs. So some of them felt empowered and were really grateful for the arrangements, while others had said that it left them feeling ashamed and that they would not have done it again, and they actually wish that they hadn't done it. So we have kind of like a split between that. Thoughts, 5 words or less?
You do you, baby.
So money for not sex?
To each its own? You're right, because in the description from Seeking Arrangement, they literally said it's for mentorship, business relationships.
Yeah.
And then when you interview...
Horseshit. It's not. Yeah, it's like... Here's
but
the
that's
thing.
their loophole.
There's a word in England called rinsing.
Right.
Rinsing. You're rinsing these guys. Like, you don't have sex with them, and they buy you things, and you're rinsing them. And that I'm for. I'm for, like, not having sex with them for money. The sex for money thing, I get it. Like, here's the danger. Like, I want to tell everyone, just whatever you think you can handle, do it. But I feel like that's the kind of pep talk you give yourself before you go and have sex with someone for money and then go, oh my God, I feel terrible. There's no going back now. Like, I can't have sex with them. You know,
it has affected a lot of these young students. It had said the interviews, they go into depth where the girls felt like that impacted their self-esteem. Some actually would self-medicate because their self-esteem was impacted because of these relationships, while others did feel empowered and felt like, thank God I was able to do this. Otherwise, I'm not able to pay my tuition. So you have to look at both sides.
Well, I actually have 2 friends who have been involved, one with seekingarrangement.com and then another with a different sort of service. And both of them, it was for financial reasons, like very explicitly, like, you know, student loans or like making rent.
Financial reasons in exchange for,
sex? So there was no sex involved.
Oh.
But it was still kind of a bizarre, both of them no longer participate. So what I will say to Brett's effect is that, yeah, basically what you're saying is that it's not sustainable. Like, what the feeling that kind of lingers with you is not, from what they have told me, is not something that they would look forward to doing again. But the first couple times, it's like, oh my God, I'm getting paid to
I got $200 for a night of dinner.
No, $2,500.
Oh,
One of
wow.
my friends got $2,500 to just like hang out with like this really filthy rich guy, and she was one of like 2 girls, 2 or 3 girls that like were just asked to like hang out with him pretty much and listen to his stories and then be with him when he got like really drunk and just be arm candy. But it was additional. He would pay more if they would have sex with him.
Exactly.
But she was like, I will just take my $2,500 and go. And for a while, it's like, it's a really luxurious lifestyle. And I remember I would like, go out to lunch with her, and it would be like she'd be like kind of excited about it. Like, look at, like, now that I've paid off this debt that I have, now I can
go on vacation.
Well, I mean, it was more like, now I can buy myself a TV. Like, right. I haven't, it was really kind of like little things.
No, but they also get taken on vacations.
Yeah, but then eventually it was just feeling kind of gross because maybe the first encounters are fine, but then eventually it's like you reach a point where, like, for them at least, I can, and I don't want to speak for them, but I'm just echoing what they had told me, was just, what am I doing here? You know, and it never in the end, it doesn't necessarily feel worth it, but you can make a chunk of change.
I'll also say this though, because it can also be a crutch. When I worked, I don't know if the girls, when I worked as a waitress in the club industry, like in bottle service, a number of the girls, I don't know if they're on seeking arrangement, but sometimes they would get propositioned right there while you're waiting on them. I was propositioned right when you're waiting on them for like 3 hours. You're serving them bottles. They have a lot of money. Why don't you come on our yacht this weekend? We'll fly you here, we'll fly you there, we'll give you X amount of dollars. You know that there's something in exchange for that.
Right.
I always knew that. And I would talk to some of my girlfriends, and my girlfriends would tell me, yeah, like we would go on this, we'd go to Saint-Tropez, and then this would happen and that would happen. And it wasn't something that I knew I wanted any part of. But I know that some of the girls that I worked with that did it, because the money was so good and they continued to do that, they weren't pushed to do other things.
Yeah.
So some of them are still, and nothing wrong with it, but some of them are still working in the club doing that, because how are they supposed to get something that equates to that much money? But eventually that's going to run out. So sometimes when you use that as a crutch, you're not going to push yourself to like really go out there and do what you can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I totally
that's
get
my
it. I don't
own
know.
personal experience.
Existentially, it's like maybe that is the fun time, though. Maybe that is the good time. But I know someone who did a seeking arrangement, and it seemed very above board. She ended up liking the person, and it ended up just being like, I go on vacation with this person that I like, and then voluntarily being like, you know, if it goes farther, whatever. So like, there's no way I can sit here and make, and I don't think any of us are trying to make a blanket statement like this is good or this is bad. But
to each its own, because some people it will impact them and some people it'll empower them.
the key is just be as honest with yourself as, that's the only person that you can count on yourself being honest
Great
with
advice.
is yourself. Because a lot of it, I'm sure, like there's a difference between pushing yourself outside your comfort zone and just not knowing what you're getting into and putting yourself in a position that can really, really be detrimental to you in the long run. And this sounds like something, if I were to put it on a scale, would be like scarier than, say, like trying to learn a new language or trying to get a job somewhere else that might be less, you know, less easy, but safer.
And that money can be addictive. Just saying, I've seen it happen. It can be addictive, and it's hard to walk away from.
You buy with it.
I'm just
It
saying,
can
if
be hard to
someone
walk away from.
wanted to pay me $2,500 to hang out with me, I'd be like, yup. But then they're like, you have to wear a dress. And I'd be like, nope. No.
Though for $2,500, I'll wear any thing you
Yeah, actually, no, I would. I probably would. Honestly,
$2,500?
Brett, let's do that. Like, that's what
Let's pay each other $2,500 to wear dresses.
Why not?
Done.
All right, you guys, please leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe. Also, make sure you check us out on watchable.com.